To talk SEC, and more SEC. Got a great lineup. Ben Troop checks in from the Low Country, Savannah, Georgia. 84 Reasons. It's his podcast. You need to follow it. If we bring him on this show, you need to follow him. We don't bring people on this show that aren't worth following. All right. Also, Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net, joins us in the second segment. And Yancey Porter, Rebel Yell Hotline, will try again today to be with us. Rebel Yell Hotline, catch it Monday nights, 6 p.m., Sports 56 WHBQ in Memphis, and Super Talk, Mississippi. Hey, Alan Calicut, one of our supporters, listeners, longtime listener and friend down in the five-star city of Senatobia, Mississippi. And also want to say hello to Mr. Paul Wickenheiser, listening out in Reno, Nevada. Go Dogs! Dogs grinding, 81 seconds left. All right, we'll be right back. Get pen and paper handy because we got a lot to talk about. Take notes.
Sidelines with Rob Brown. Talk sporty to me.
All right, there he is, the man with the greatest collection of fedoras and great hats in Western civilization. You know, the old movies, like The Untouchables with Elliot Ness, back then everybody wore a hat. Ben brings style to the show, substance always. You can also catch him on his podcast, 84 Reasons, as well as the Buddy Martin Show, Thursday nights, orangeandbluebloods.com. I'm telling you, man, what I love about this show is we are really getting in deep. You can say we're getting in bed with all these other fan bases. Doesn't matter who they are. We're all going in the same direction. We love the SEC. And soon we will invite our good friends from Texas and Oklahoma. And they never brag, and they're never outlandish in their predictions. Their fans are calm and tame and timid. I mean, when we have Ken Capps on here from Dallas, who's a Texas grad, great Football Writers Association of America writer, he has the Hook'em Hut, and he has a mounted Texas Longhorn on his wall. And over my right-hand shoulder, you can see Texas just really stands out. And over in that corner, you can see Florida. And Florida's a big state, Ben. But he just bought one of those from my good friend Barnwood Brenda down in Batesville, Mississippi, that makes those. Hand carves them out of cypress. They're $800, and they're gorgeous. You probably pay thousands in a retail store if you went to, say, oh, my God, you can think of Tiffany's in New York or FAO Schwartz Toy Store, or if you ordered them from any of those famous places. She's famous. She's cool. Ben, got a cool text from Buddy and Brendan early this morning about Greg McElroy making a statement. And Greg's a smart guy. He does know football. I mean, he knows football. Said, kind of don't sleep on the Gators and Billy Napier. We're talking about it a lot. We got basketball tournament starting today. But your thoughts on that, because everybody that's on that Florida team is a Division I scholarship player. You get the right coaches together, anything can happen. So on the quarterback situation, you've got DJ Lagway coming in, number one player, quarterback in the country. Mertz, a veteran. Well, you had CJ Leak from Independence High School up in Charlotte. Then you brought in that guy Tebow from Nice over there in St. Augustine. Kind of 1-2 punch. It doesn't work very often, but nobody saw 2006 coming, or did they?
I mean, obviously, you're right. Nobody saw it in 2006, and anybody said they did. I mean, Obviously, I would ask them, is this 2007 you saying this, 2008 you saying this? But I think the thing about a guy like DJ Lagway, he gives Billy Napier enough confidence knowing that the future is set. Because every head coach wants to know that, listen, I live in the present, but I'm always building toward the future. I think DJ Lagway, I mean, they say he's 6'3", 241 pounds. He's 18 years old, coming in college already with a NFL quote body. But I think Graham Mercer is the one, because as much as I love Tim Tebow and what he was able to accomplish at Florida, is he doing that from day one? And the answer is probably no. But when I got every great player needs to be able to be mentored by a great player. So Chris Leak had already been through the fire with a run. So he already had his first start in college football at LSU, 18 years old, on the road in Death Valley. So he had already seen it all. He's the one that can tell Tebow, look, this is going to be yours. It's like Brandon Seiler, handing over the reins. I mean, we talking about to Spikes, telling him this is going to be yours. But every guy needs to know this. You a good quarterback. You want to be a great one. You got to learn how to do it. And Graham Mercer ain't saying he's going to be the reason why DJ Lago is going to be great. He's saying, watch me work, watch me prepare. Because this time last year, Rob, I mean, I was one of the first eating crow, because I was talking about, is Graham Mercer ready for the moment? SEC. And I mean, 20 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. You tell me if he wasn't ready for it. But for Florida, it's all like any big-time school in the SEC. It's about wins and losses. And up until this point, say what you want about Billy Napier. Great man, great coach for what he's doing for these players off the field. And you hear it all the time. Rob. Oh, you 5 or 6 plays away from having a winning season. Well, you didn't make them. And that's the difference. So I think, while I appreciate Greg McElroy saying, what he said about watch out for the Gators, Graham Mercer said it. He said, man, we are what our record says we are. So right now, no one should be, we don't got I mean, Georgia's obviously the best team in the country, man. Definitely the best team in the SEC coming back. I mean, I don't know, what is it? The dark kid up there at Ole Miss, he might be the best quarterback coming back. In the SEC that nobody's talking about. Graham Mertz is definitely a top 5 quarterback in the SEC. The difference is Georgia has a supporting cast around them. Ole Miss, they win in 10 and 11 games and not going to Atlanta yet, even though I think they're going to have something to say about that in 2024. I think for Florida is, can you be consistent? You know what you got at the quarterback position. You know what you got at the running back position. You know what you got at the skill positions, even though you got to replace a Ricky Pearsall, which is going to be easier said than done. And
correct.
Can your defense be consistent? I think for Florida, if you give me consistent defense, we always say this, great offenses need complementary defenses. You don't need to be great. You just can't be bad. And I'm optimistic, but this schedule, we play UCF, we play Miami, we play Florida State, we play Texas, we got Georgia and LSU. So this schedule is not going to be, it's not for the weak of heart, but we'll see what happens.
All right, let me say something here real quick. Shawnee down in Valdosta, come on, is Fedora outside of Savannah? No, it's just north of Savannah. I love it when we use these fancy words on here. We get our listeners and viewers all riled up. Right. This, if we'd have had this play or that play, we'd have won 10 games instead of just 6. Reminds me a lot of duck hunting. Well, how many did y'all get? When we got 7, we should have had, 18. But shoulda, woulda, coulda. Hey, what did you do? Don't tell me what you missed out on. That doesn't work. That does not work in business. Okay. So I love that takedown, and there's a lot of. Can you see these questions that come in?
I'm looking.
Okay.
I see. I tune in later, get a morning dose. I see. Ask why Tim Tebow didn't do better in the NFL. That is the $1 million question, right? I mean, when you talk about the Tim Tebow, I would say that if somebody would have told me 2 things with the NFL, I would have. This is why I don't go to Vegas. If somebody would have told me Tim Tebow wouldn't have made it as quarterback and Johnny Manziel would have only made it 2 years, I would have been like, ain't no way. But it's all about where you land, not if you. If Tim Tebow doesn't get drafted by Josh McDaniels and the Denver Broncos, I think he's a different player. And you name me the last Cleveland quarterback that was a star. You tell me the last Cleveland Browns quarterback Joe Flacco just took him to the playoffs, which is crazy to even think about. But I just think that just because you have being a star in college doesn't mean you're going to be a star in the National Football. I mean, Kirk Cousins. is with my Atlanta Falcons now. Who would have thought that Kirk Cousins would have had a longer career than Andrew Luck, RG3, Tim Tebow? You see, this guy is still in the league making a lot of money. But, hey, when people say, what do I want to grow up and be? I want to grow up and be Kirk Cousins, not the player, but the man that knows how to negotiate guaranteed at 36.
Yeah.
He just signed for $180 million, which I'm not, and obviously I have to love him now. It's like he just got married into the family, Rob. I mean, I was talking trash about him, and somebody say, your cousin just married him, right? My cousin just married Kirk Cousins. So I got to go to the wedding and act like I'm happy for him because he's going to be repping my Falcons. But, hey, at the end of the day, the NFL is where the best of the best play. And if you don't
you're right.
play well, it's not an indictment against your career. It's just the fact that, hey, man, if I didn't play well with the best of the best, it happens to a lot. But I think Tim Tebow's of the world and the Johnny Manziel's of the world, they just did something to college football we may never see again. I mean, I ain't never seen good Lord, I ain't never seen nothing like that up there in, Texas A&M. But Tim Tebow, thank God Tim Tebow went to Florida. Because if Tim Tebow would have went to Georgia, Florida State, I would hate his guts. I would hate everything about him. But he did make the right choice. He came down there from Jacksonville, even though he was born in the Philippines and still doing great stuff.
Yeah,
so for mentally challenged people. So, I mean, hey, it happens. But at the end of the day, college football is better when me and my brother was talking about this yesterday with NFL free agency. He was like, what is NFL free agency? I said, NFL, it is culture, head coach, quarterback. That's NFL. Culture, head coach, quarterback. Look at what Tom Brady and Bill Belichick did. Look at what Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes doing. In the NFL and college, it's all coaching.
Yeah.
The best coaches win the national championships. Because if I got the culture, I just play and plug them in. Hey, man, I hope my Florida Gators get our culture together because when I was there with Spurrier, that culture was together, boy.
Yeah, and when people talk about a culture, what that to me really translates to is you work around a lot of other people who are like-minded that go, I believe in hard work. I believe in getting up earlier than the other guys. I believe in working. I love the old interviews with the guys that played years ago. Travis Tidwell was a quarterback at Auburn in 1949, 1950. He said, I wasn't necessarily the biggest or the fastest, but I always stayed after practice and ran an extra 10 minutes of sprints, did all those little things. I met Paul Hornung one time. He was a great player, won the Heisman at Notre Dame. Tennessee fans still pissed off about that when Johnny Majors got second. He came to speak to us on the floor of the bond division when I worked at First Tennessee Bank Debt Capital Markets. He said something I never forgot. He goes, look, when you're ready to go home at the end of the day, you've had enough, give it an extra 5 or 10 calls to that guy you're trying to get hold of, you can't get hold of. And the other thing I heard a very successful person tell me is when you're going to work early in the morning at 6 o'clock, the few people you see coming and going in traffic, those are the people that you want to get on the phone with. They're the ones who run the world, okay? The ones who are willing to work and do that extra stuff. And I look at Tim Tebow, it's all about where you land. But look at the good work, that he's doing as an athlete, the platform that he has. He does a lot of really good stuff. Now, I don't know him. I don't know his family, but I know he does a lot of really good work. And you start thinking about, and I love Dr. David Arnoff up in Panama City in the panhandle of Lower Alabama, L.A. Bernie Kosar from Boardman, Ohio. He did play for the Cleveland Browns, didn't he? I know he played at Miami. But, and then, and speaking of great quarterbacks, Chris Winkie, I think Chris Winkie was from St. Paul, Minnesota. He was 27. You think about Vinny Testaverde was from Concordia, California, I think. But one thing I will say about that schedule with Florida, everybody last year, the narrative was Georgia has a weak schedule. And you and I both know, and anybody that's ever played a sport, you don't say that. You don't say, this is going to be an easy invasion at Normandy Beach. You don't say that. You prepare for the worst. And one thing that happened, look at the gauntlet Georgia played at the end of last season. Give them some credit. They had to play Missouri, which ended up 11-2, Ole Miss, which ended up 11-2, and they beat the wheels off of them 52-17 in Athens. Then they had to play a Tennessee team. It was pretty good. Then they had to play Georgia Tech, better than advertised. So the narrative this year with Florida, it's a diametrically opposing argument. and yes, diametrically is just south of Savannah on I-95. Shoney, I know you're going to ask it, but this year the narrative is all these teams are going to be great. Remember, I've got 4 kids. You've got kids. You're dealing with 18 to 22, 23-year-old kids. Emotions. A lot of things play into it. NIL, the transfer portal. Florida needs to be myopically focused on what goes on their practice field and in that locker room. I wouldn't count them out because as an Auburn man, growing up with that Auburn, Florida, I know what Florida is. You're out of your freaking mind if you're not paying attention. They're the damn University of Florida, and I'm not saying this for any other reason than you have to understand what they've got. They have won 267 SEC championships across the board in all sports. Football, from 1989 to 2009, they were the winningest program in college football. 8 SEC titles, 3 national championships. You got to think about the pride that those players have, Ben. That's what I'm saying. Pride, pain is temporary. Pride is forever. And that's a T-shirt the Marine Corps has, and you get it if you do 20 pull-ups, and I got that one time. So I treasure that shirt, but you know what I mean there, don't you?
I do, and I think the one thing you keep on bringing up, like you said, Rob, you say, listen, I'm an Auburn. You say I'm an Auburn grad. I know what Florida is, and I say the same thing about Auburn. When you know what most teams talk about their tradition, but it's not outside them city limits. Like no one sees your tradition outside because you don't really have much to talk about outside of what you talk about when you with your family. When you talk about Florida, I didn't understand the tradition of Florida till I went there. And you get engulfed real fast.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is, though, people say, man, why are people so disappointed, in Gainesville? Because of the expectation. That's the only thing that leads to disappointment.
You just nailed it. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that nails it because the damn expectations, and that's a good thing. If you put junk in your head, junk comes out. If you expect little of people, they will give you little or nothing. That's why I love having you on the show because you are true grit.
Oh no, being a Florida Gator alum, I understand that no matter who is at quarterback, no matter who is at the head coach, no matter what, there's no excuses because you want the glory. If you sit down in front of any player, you say, man, you want that glory, huh? You want that roaring of the crowd. You want the appreciation of the fans. You want the respect of your teammates. You want the trust of your coaches. Man, that comes every single day. Like when people say, hey, the best teams have the most demanding coaches in sports. You don't think Kirby Smart demanded? You don't think Nick Saban was demanding? You don't think, Harbaugh was demanding? And when people go, well, why is it like that? Because a coach says, listen, I'm going to apply pressure on y'all so much that all y'all going to do is apply pressure on Saturday. I'm going to put so much pressure on y'all. And I didn't understand that. It took me a little while to understand. Ron Zook really honed that in when he got there because he says, listen, I yell at everybody. I yell at my staff. I yell at the trainers. I yell at the equipment men. I yell at because I want everybody to know, man, look, he kept telling us this. He said, some of y'all were talented enough to get recruited by all these schools, and this is the school you chose. He says, this is my dream school. My dream when I left Florida, when we won in 96, and I'm a special teams coordinator, was to come back as the head man. Now, I didn't know I was going to be coming behind Spurrier, but he did. And at the same time, though, so when people say, well, why is Ron Zook so significant in the storylines in the tradition of Florida? That 2006 national championship team, those key contributors, who recruited them? Zook recruited all of them. Dallas Baker. Dallas Baker, you talk about Lewis Murphy, you talk about Cornelius Ingram, you talk about Chris Leak, you talk about these guys that was there when we were there. So for me, it's when I'm looking at Florida, I'm saying, hey, man, no one's going to feel bad about you when you don't lack anything. You get the best of everything. Resources, alumni, money, prestige, notoriety, visibility. You got to get it done because when you don't meet expectations, you stay off the internet. When you do, you live on that. You living on the internet.
Yep.
Love what they're saying about you. We used to walk in the facility and Ron Zook would say, hey, did y'all hear about what they said about us today? Yeah, you should know what they said about us. Don't read the papers because when you read the papers, only one or two things are going to happen. Either you're going to believe what they say, right? or you're gonna feel some type of way about what they said when it shouldn't matter. The only thing that matters is when you in between them lines. Florida's practice fields are called the proving grounds. That's what they call it. You walking out, they got this little thing. They got this little thing walking out, this little sign to say proving grounds. And when you first get to Florida, you don't even notice it.
Yeah.
You walk right by. When you a freshman, I got my stuff on. I got on my orange. Run out there. After about 3 months, you saying, hey, man, why ain't I playing? And someone says, because you ain't proved yourself. What?
Yeah.
Because you ain't proved it. So for me, I appreciate what I had to learn at a place like Florida. I appreciate because they'll say, man, why you grind on? Because you got Auburn next week. And after that, you got Arkansas. Then you got Georgia. Then you got Tennessee. Then you got LSU. It ain't for the weak-minded, because if you think everybody wants to play at these schools, everybody wants to run the ball like Cadillac and Ronnie Brown, right? Everybody wants to do the jump pass like Tebow. Everybody wants to be a difference maker on defense like Tyrann Mathieu, Honey Badger, LSU. Until you got to do it, excuse me, every Saturday. So I'm not this. I love those guys. I don't envy them. Because thank God when I played, there was no social media. Oh, I am so happy that there wasn't any. But at the same time, Rob, it's like this. Rob, you run into a lot of people that say, hey, Rob, man, I love what you do, man. I think I want to do what you do. And then you realize, you're like, hey, what do you mean you want to do what I do? Oh, I want to do sidelines. You're like, no, you don't. Yeah, you do. No. You think you want to do it. Why? Yeah. Because I could talk sports. Well, that's not what I do. What? I talk life, and we throw sports in there. I call it sidelines. And they'll say, yeah, but I know about the SEC. Yeah. And I think that's the thing is, I got a nephew that's 17 years old. He's just going into his senior year. He said, I want to play at Ohio State. You know what I told him? I said, Josh, everybody does. He's like, what you mean? Everybody that plays running back wants to go to Ohio State or Auburn. I say, here's the difference, though. If you the starter in college, that means I got to be better than everybody under me, who's younger than me and probably more athletic than me. I mean, the fact that Cadillac was the starter and Ronnie Brown was the backup, and Ronnie Brown was the 2nd overall pick, and Cadillac was the 5th overall pick, and then Carlos Rogers was the 7th or 8th overall pick. Yeah. And you got Campbell, the 20th. That's cheating. That is their roster in 2000. So I don't know what to tell these players now other than put your head down. Learn and grow through the criticism, and listen, and you're never as good as they say you are. You're never as bad as they say you are. Go out there and play, because when it's over, when you playing your last game and it's same day, you trying to hold back the tears. I don't care if you make $500 million like Kirk Cousins. It will not get better than college, man. And I've played with the Titans and the Bucs and the Raiders, and I've met Al Davis, and you know, I got coached by Jeff Fisher. Freaking Chucky. You know, I got coached by Gruden. I saw the Y2 banana. And with all that stuff, and people say, man, what do you miss the most? Oh, man, Florida. It don't, because we all broke. Well, we used to be. They ain't broke no more. They make a couple of dollars in NIL. But we were broke. Nolan Simmons was our financial aid advisor at Florida. You know what he used to tell us? My mama would say, Nolan told me to tell y'all to stop trying to get loans. They don't give a loan for $750.
Well, no, and look, I love what you just said, because you're right. It never gets better than what you went. When you go through the tough times with a bunch of other people, but hard work works. We're going to bring in Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net up in Springdale, Arkansas, in the northwest corner. Now, Ben, he knows these Razorbacks, and I think Dudley was a GA. You worked with Eddie Sutton and Nolan Richardson with basketball, but you've been covering Razorbacks in college sports for 35 years. And I talked to a young, aspiring journalist who just got accepted to Fayetteville, Trip Keeter over in Heber Springs, and he really has a lot of respect for you. I talked to his Uncle Brian yesterday, and I said, it's like when you go biking or running. Get on the back wheel or the back foot of the fastest runner, the fastest biker, the fastest swimmer. And I appreciate you caring about him, because I said, you need to follow what Dudley does. He works his ass off. He knows what he's doing. But one thing he is he is a true grit journalist. He's not a fan. Can't be a fan. And I love this discussion. And, okay, so let's talk about what's going on in Razorbackville. Got the tournament
Do we
starting
have
today.
to? I enjoy listening to this.
Nah,
There's no way I can bring that in.
Deli, I don't know if I told Deli this though. Listen, I'm from Swainsboro, Georgia. Born, I was born there. I lived until I was in the 5th grade. My best friend in the whole world name is Titus Peters. We played against each other. He was born July 3rd, 82. I was born September 1st, 82. I mean, I've known him literally for 41 years, literally. And he went to Arkansas. He played with, I don't know, he played with these slouches like Sean Andrews, I don't know if you ever heard Mac Jones, Cedric Cobb. And the thing about it is, right, this is what I realized what culture was in sports. You go to Arkansas, listen to me. If there are opposing fans there, they're in a section that they ain't even gonna show on TV. They ain't gonna be nowhere close. My mom and his mom drove from Swainsboro to the game. That's like 20 hours to see us. I said, Mama, where was y'all at in the stadium? She said, listen, we were so far up. That's not their seats, by the way. We're so far. The whole Forrest Gump can't sit here. I don't think you want to sit here, ma'am. They was way up there, like way. But I appreciated the fact that you go to a place like Arkansas, man. Ain't no such thing as, we live in Arkansas, we don't root for Arkansas. No, they don't do that there. Who you root for?
They don't.
Who do you think we root for? You think we root for Texas? Hold on.
No.
So for me, we always talk about him going to Arkansas, and my senior year, his junior year, I'm going in motion, and there he is at D tackle, 2 Swainsboro boys who ain't got no business being out here playing with each other. So yeah, man, Arkansas was always near and dear, man. When people ask me, man, I said, you get recruited. I said, Ben, why don't you go to Arkansas? I said, and this is what I said. I was 7. I said, 1, I can't spell it, and 2, I don't know where it is. So I'm not going. I told him that. I said, I'm just being honest with you. But Matt Jones and I just think that those teams, when people say, I don't know who the greatest Arkansas teams were. I don't know if it was D-Mac and them, because when McFadden was there, it was must-see TV. He invented the Wildcat in college. He go, get us a running back you can snap it to. Is his name Darren McFadden? Yeah. Well, it ain't gonna work. This boy is, I don't know who he is. I got to play with him my 5th year in the league when he was out there when I was out there in Oakland, and I got to meet him. And I said, you from Arkansas, right? And he kind of bucked up. He's like, yeah, I'm from Arkansas. He said, y'all need to stop watching TV. Ain't no tumbleweeds, the Cowboys where I'm from. I said, no, I don't want no problem with you. I'm just asking you because he said, yeah, we country boys in Arkansas, man. He said, don't get it too. I said, D-Mac, I don't want no trouble with you, man. I'm just letting you know I'm a fan. I didn't know that people that big could move that fast. You like an Eric Dickerson in the fleet. Yeah. Like I ain't never seen people that tall and long. I said, I get to practice the first day. They hand them a toss, and somebody said, stop the play. D-Mac, run. They run the same play. I don't know what they said. That boy hit a gear. I said, you can do that? Somebody can just, he's like, yeah, sometimes I don't feel like doing it. I said, so your slow is fast. He goes, yeah. I said, well, my fast ain't even fast. So, bro, please run the ball to my side and try to hit it as fast as you can downhill because I don't want to look bad. I'm not the best blocker, but I said, I get in the way. I get in the way long enough for you to hit that hole. And then I celebrate with you, and then I go to the post-game press conference and say, well, yeah, man, I told Coach Cable, keep running to my side, man. We have 200-300 yards rushing. Like, being you, there's being you like to run block. I go, hell no. I don't like to run block. But, if I got to do it, to make a couple of dollars. But I love Arkansas. I love Arkansas, the brand. I love Arkansas like the team because, like I said, when you start talking about dangerous teams in college football that nobody wants to see get on the run, it's Arkansas. Because if they do, yeah. It's like playing for the Tennessee Titans. You in a part of the country that you don't got to worry about no nonsense. It's media out there. Obviously, we got Dudley Dawson. He gonna be honest, but it's favorable. Man, you got a shot to beat the brakes off people. I don't know what they eat in Arkansas, but I'm pretty sure it's dead and deep fried. I don't see a bunch of vegans out there in Arkansas.
No. And Dudley.
Yeah. My wife does a great job of bringing vegetables to the table. But she also knows that there got to be some meat there, too. And there got to be some cheese on them vegetables.
Absolutely.
And Dudley, one of the cool things, and Ben's right, I spent a lot of time in Arkansas, living in Memphis, a lot. That you don't see fans really of Tech. You don't see Texas fans in here. Atlanta, well, that's a big city, it's a different deal, but it is a hog first state. Got basketball.
You might see a few in a bar for a few minutes.
Yeah, for a few minutes until someone
And
says, "Son," then they leave. So look behind me. You see the big Razorback on the SEC map? That I'm like a weatherman. I'm trying to get there we go, right up above there. There's the Razorback. You see him? That's Barnwood Brenda. She made this for me. My friend down in Batesville, Mississippi, out of Cypress, hand carved the SEC map, and everybody needs one. Let's talk about the Razorback: basketball, football, baseball, just wax eloquent, as they say. That's an old literary term about the Razorbacks, because I'm with Ben. They got too proud of a fan base to continue the slide in basketball. A basketball program traditionally is one of the best. Baseball, we know what that is. Dave Van Horn, it's 20 plus years. Football, spring practice, kind of. You're talking to an ADD, OCD guy, so I'm kind of lasso me in because Ben got me so excited talking about it. But there's a lot happening at Arkansas that only you know about.
Well, right now, Arkansas baseball is obviously number one. Everybody's cool with that, but they don't want to start number one. They want to end number one. They've come so close so many times. They feel like they've got the pitching, and the hitting's come alive these last few days. So maybe that'll be that. Basketball, it looks like they're going to finish with a losing record. Probably the worst season since 2001, 2002 when Stan Heath was around here.
Yeah.
But the football, there's an excitement. It is strange because they're coming off a 4-8 year. They almost let go of the coach. I don't think there's any doubt about that. They brought in an old coach who had some success here. There's some excitement there. They're excited about the quarterback, but still, they were 4-8 last year. This isn't going to just flip, right away. But they do hope that there'll be improvement. Other than that, ain't nothing going on up here.
Well, okay, let me ask you this: in the basketball team, whatever happened, and I respect what you always say. That's why you're always on here, because I learned so much from you. You don't traffic in rumors, and you can't. As a true grit journalist, not a fan. And Ben just referenced social media. He was glad it wasn't around like it is now when he was playing. There's so much stuff coming and going. And if someone sends you something, a lot of people just automatically click it and forward it to somebody else without even reading it. You know what I'm talking about. Have things settled down off the court with Eric Musselman? Are the rumors still rampant about him? What do you know as a true grit journalist that you would tell us that would mean something? I'm going to trust what you say.
Yeah, I know that there are going to be several job openings after this season at various places that didn't have the success, just like they didn't in Arkansas this year. And he's going to be a name that's mentioned there. He's a great coach to start off with. He's dynamic. He works that social media angle, brings the fans together. Yes, this hadn't been a great year, but it happens. It happens every once in a while.
Sure.
This guy had the best success these last 3 years that they've had here, really, since Coach Richardson was around. If you want to, if you just want to be honest with it, that was a long time ago when you look back at it now. Do I think he'll be back? I think he wants to be back, but I think he's smart enough that he'll look at these jobs and assess them along with the support he has here at Arkansas. And I mean, one of the things about firing a coach and hiring another, you're going to have to go into a situation. They don't fire highly successful coaches. So if he goes to another place, it's going to be a place he's going to have to rebuild. I mean, that may be a challenge. A lot of people like that. I think he'll be back next year, but I don't. I wouldn't bet, again, as I say, I wouldn't bet my house on it, but I'd bet yours, Rob.
Okay. Well, you think about the pressure that all these coaches are under. And he grew up, his dad, Bill Musselman, NBA coach. So he's a California guy. He's grown up in that culture. But I see a shift from California. Everybody's heading east. You go back to John Steinbeck's great novel, The Grapes of Wrath, back during the Dust Bowl of the 1930s. Two things happened. A lot of people left Oklahoma and Nebraska in the middle of America, headed to California. But now, but also the other thing that happened at that time was the governor of Oklahoma said, we ain't got much. We really don't. But we're going to have us a great football program. That's how that happened out there. If you studied it, my friend, the late Steve Leake, and his father, the late Buddy Leake, had a great website. He was an All-American running back there with Billy Vessels when Bud Wilkinson was coaching there, called Southern fried sooner. I loved it. But, man, I just think about the Bobby Petrino effect. And Ben knows what one assistant can do in terms of raising the bar. What's the atmosphere like going in with spring practice and everything that's happening right now with all the new stuff they're going to put in? What's the general consensus?
Well, I don't view it as my job to bash people, but let's just be honest about one thing. It didn't work here with Dan Enos last year. And when you would go to a practice, it wasn't as organized as it should be. The kids weren't as spirited. Let's just be honest, there weren't as many people open as there should have been during pass routes and all that. And, the one thing about Coach Petrino, and again, I've never questioned him, is on the field stuff. And he's a fantastic offensive coach. That thing is clicking over there. It looks like an offense that you want to be a part of, that you want to run. Now, will they be able to be successful against the SEC defenses? That's a whole nother story. But just from you looking at it, you look like this is an offense you'd want to play in, and it looks like an offense that might score some points. And that was not the case last year. We all were sucked in by what Coach Enos did back when he had Brandon Allen, and some other guys that they were able to be successful with, but it just didn't work. It didn't work from a schematics point. It didn't work. It certainly didn't work from what's the word I want to use here? It was just not. He just didn't
production standpoint.
He didn't seem happy here, and they didn't seem happy, and the team didn't seem happy with him. It was just a chasm that just grew deeper and deeper as the losses got mounted.
Yeah. And then that also trickles down to recruits. Ben, get back in here. What are you talking about bringing in Bobby Petrino? We know his on the field. We're going to focus on his on the field deal. God, if everybody looked at everybody's life 24/7, man, we'd all be messy. But I'm just going to focus on his football. That's all that matters. Okay. He's bringing in a new system. Sam Pittman's told him he has full authority. That's important, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Sam Pittman understands. He come from that. He come from that Kirby Smart coaching tree. He understands. The less I have to do as a head coach, the more I can focus on being a head coach. These micromanager head coaches are getting, few and far between now because they know I don't want to call the plays and run the team.
Good point.
Because then you talk about NIL and social media. I think a guy like Bobby Petrino, it's going to mean something different to him because he said, look, I get it. I've been a lot of places since I left here, but coming back, it's a good Lord, it's a total different world, not even just a total different Arkansas. He's going to bring a sophistication to the offensive side of the ball, and he's going to be highly demanding because that's what good offenses do. A lot of word salads in some of these play calling, but if they can understand it and they can break it down and simplify it, Bobby Petrino knows offense, man. You can say what you want to say. He knows offense. And if he can get these guys to buy into what he's saying, which I think they will, Dudley, I agree with you. How's it going to look against these SEC defenses? If they get it right, it could get scary. Because like I said, you only build confidence on Saturday afternoons, but you got to work it Monday through Friday. I think they're doing that. I was happy to see him back in the fold. And like I said, I don't know the AD at Arkansas, but that when they say we finna hire Bobby Petrino. What? As OC? The Bobby Petrino, yeah. I want to see that press conference. Because like I said, I don't have a problem with Bobby Petrino outside of the fact that he went to Arkansas because that's how bad my Falcons are. Good. That is how bad. Yes, head coach on, was it Monday night, woke up the next day doing whatever they do.
Yeah.
So when I see Bobby Petrino, I'm going to say, look, man, I've moved on since then, but you ain't have to do us like that. All you had to do is say, hey, I don't want to coach you no more. You got on a flight that had a Razorback on it, and you woke up. I said, wait a minute. I called if I would have known D'Angelo Hall back then, I said, D'Angelo, what happened? He said, I don't know. I know he coached us yesterday, and we stunk, so now he's in college football. That's usually not how negotiations go, but that's what happened. But, hey, I'm rooting for him, though. I agree with you, Dudley and Rob. I think Bobby Petrino is good for college football. I think certain guys are good. I think he's one of them. And like I say, if he does have success, man, I think it's going to be good for not just Arkansas, but the entire SEC.
Yeah, I know this is going to come back and haunt me, but I'm going to say it anyway. Bobby Petrino has gone from being a player to a grandpa, but he's kept his same offensive skills. He's got a lot of grandkids now. I think he's different, than it was. So That's my line now. He's going from being a player to a grandpa, just like me. Yeah, but
That's right.
The other byproduct of Bobby Petrino coming back, and I think people are excited about this. They wanted some of it last year. Suddenly, who's jumping in the offensive line drills and yelling? It's Sam Pittman. Eric Matos is his offensive line coach, new offensive line coach, but he's been jumping in there yelling at them, and people love to see that because they know his track record. They know what he's done as an offensive line coach. And, you have all these silly things like offense having to deal with. You can't concentrate on the offensive line the way I'm sure he wants to. I think it's the best of both worlds. Again, as Ben says, is it going to be successful? Man, there's a lot of great teams in the SEC, and you coming from the bottom to get back up to the top. And it's going to be tough. But I do think there are better fits and position over there now that if you have enough players, and Lord knows they've brought plenty in here, including 3 that are going to be offensive line starters. I mean, that doesn't happen that often, that you bring in 3 guys that just are going to fit in and going to be – it sure looks good in an offensive line, because that's another thing that didn't work last year. I do think there are many reasons to be excited. Now, August 31st, when they play UAPB, I'm sure it's going to be, because of the difference in the 2 schools, I'm sure there's going to be, a lot of excitement there. Then you go to Oklahoma State. Let's see what happens that second week in Oklahoma State, who is a very good football team, who has maybe the best running back in the country coming back next year. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and that's where we're going to tell a lot about this team. Not necessarily out there in spring practice, although the quarterback Taylor Green is looking. Not only has he got his team excited about what he's doing on the field, but off the field, and that's an interesting dynamic we're looking at here.
Well, let's talk about that quarterback room. And I think the most telling thing that I've heard on this show, and Yancey Porter is going to join us here in just a second from Rebel Yell Hotline. And I love getting all these fan bases. I mean, obviously Ben's a Gator, but he knows the SEC. Dudley, you know the Hogs, but you know the SEC. But y'all know the national picture. The most telling thing you said, Dudley, was about Sam Pittman getting down in the middle of the drills with the offensive linemen, because I'm just going to guess this. When offensive line recruits see that and they know his track record of sending guys to the NFL, that's carrying a big-ass stick. I love hearing that, because there's 2 kinds of coaches, ones that watch and the ones that get down in the grass. That's what I've always been told, and you see it. They walk you through it. And I like how you give the cautionary optimism of, it's looking at, but how's it going to translate to these SEC teams? But Bobby Petrino at Missouri State. Bobby Petrino, that deal at Texas A&M, strike that from the record. that was a shit show from the beginning, and that was a mess. But anyway, let's bring Yancey in here with us right now. Get more talk about Kyle. I know we got the SEC basketball tournament starting today, but I just had to have a college football fix, because we're going to be heavy basketball tomorrow and heavy basketball Friday, and we're heading to Nashville. But Yancey Porter, Rebel Yell Hotline, Mondays, 6 o'clock, Sports 56 WHBQ. We've also got Dudley Dawson, Hogville.net, Ben Troop, 84 Reasons. A lot to talk about. But Yancey, again, my wife is like, I love this town. We were in Oxford for the show a week ago Friday at the Vitamin Shop at the Oxford Regalia out on Jackson. Love that place. Check it out. He's one of our sponsors, Justin Ross and Matt Price. Also, their location in Olive Branch, Mississippi. The Vitamin Shop open Monday through Saturday, 9:30 a.m., 8 p.m. Sundays, 10:30 a.m. to 7 p.m. Dudley, football right now, the expectations at Ole Miss are the highest going into a season that most of us can remember. Is there? Are you feeling it? I mean, spring practice. What's Lane Kiffin doing to try to keep everybody in check?
You said me, but I think you meant Yancey.
Oh, Yancey. Sorry, the Bailey's is kicking in. Yancey, you there? Hold on, Yancey. I guess Yancey.
I'm here.
Okay,
I'm
sorry
here.
about that. Yeah.
No, I knew you were speaking to me, and not Dudley. I called Dudley. Somebody wrong last week and called him Dudley. So
When he was calling
we're all
Rodney
getting-
Dudley.
Yeah, call Rodney or Dudley. No,
We're getting senile.
Yeah, getting senile, getting old. But no, he's shut it down. He's completely shut down spring practice to media and fans outside of the spring games. So this is the first time he's done that. He's always allowed the
Yeah.
media to come for the first few periods, but he's going all in with this team, as you know. I guess, last year with Michigan and everything that came out with that, I don't know. Maybe there's some paranoia, but it's pretty zip lip right now. But the only thing I would say, the biggest news that's come out of camp is they decided to have an arthroscopic surgery with Juice Wells, their big time portal receiver that they picked up from South Carolina this past season during the all season here. So, that was kind of a little disappointing. Deion Smith, the number one JUCO player in the country, plays wide receiver. Another big time receiver they signed is came up a class short, so he is taking that right now. So two of the three, and Jordan Watkins, that was third team All SEC at receiver last year. He's out right now, so the receiver room is very thin, so to speak. There's a few guys that are out on the offensive line, which allowed those four new portal guys to get in a lot of snaps so far. But it's pretty tight lipped. The media's not going to be available as it has been in the past for spring practice. So it's kind of disappointing in a way, but I kind of get it in one respect because look, nothing short of a national championship is going to be satisfactory for the staff or the fans this season.
Well, it is. And Ole Miss fans have more fun than about any fan base in America. I mean, we were last week looking at the Grove. Of course, it's empty. It's, March 1st when we were down there. But the expectations going in among Ole Miss fans, and I know a lot of them, they're really high. Season ticket sales will probably be off the charts. Lane Kiffin, I don't know what his degree's in. Is it psychology? Because he is a master at getting in people's heads and getting the best out of them. And that's going to be big going in. You lost Derek Nix. He's over at Auburn now. Talk about some of the new people on the staff, and then I want Dudley and Ben to jump in here and y'all take over. But that's a big deal. Derek's down at Auburn. He was there 16 years. But Kiffin probably knows the top 5 assistants, like most great coaches do, at every position in the country, and has them on his favorite list on his iPhone.
Yeah, I think really the news right now, kind of the trendy, if you're at Ole Miss with the state, they picked up Arnett, Mississippi State's head coach, last week. So that kind of ruffled a lot of feathers with Mississippi State. But look, there's nobody that played Ole Miss better defensively during the Kiffin era than Mississippi State. Kiffin's had a lot of problems with that state defense the last few years, and so why not bring him on staff? So, he's really become kind of like Saban. He's a resume builder. He's someone that rehabilitates reputations, and he's really just kind of taken over the Saban model. He's the only voice of the program. He doesn't allow assistants and most of the players to talk to the media. There's only one voice from the program, and that comes from Lane Kiffin. And I think that his time there at Alabama really molded him into the coach he is today.
Yeah. Hey, Rumble Boxing Gym, Midtown Memphis, 1835 Union Avenue. Check them out on the website. Open Monday through Friday, 5 a.m., 7 p.m., Saturdays and Sundays, 9 a.m. to noon. Let's get this Rumble Boxing going. Dudley and Ben, jump in with questions with Yancey Porter, folks. Rebel Yell Hotline. Follow this show. It is the source for Ole Miss sports.
No, Yancey, I was going to say, too, I mean, obviously, I got a chance to see Ole Miss in the bowl game. Lane Kiffin, I don't know if he was brought in to be the evil stepchild to Nick Saban, who's obviously moved on to greener pastures now. How dangerous can this Ole Miss team be in 2024? Because you talk about Dart, the quarterback position. Obviously, they loaded. They was loaded without the additions that they brought in. But if they can get this offense clicking like it was in 2023, how dangerous dare I say, these Rebels can be in 2024.
Well, that's a great point there. The receiver room they added, as I just said, the number one overall JUCO player in the country who happens to be a receiver there, Deion Smith, Juice
Yeah.
Wells at South Carolina. They're going to be much more explosive in that receiver room than they were last year. I think you're going to see them throwing the ball a little more vertical than they did last year. They've really leaned on that running game the last 4 years under Kiffin. They finished either one or two in the SEC in rushing every year that Kiffin's been there. So I think they're going to really step it up in the passing game. That how's that going to affect the defense when when the offense is only there for having a minute to
Yeah.
2 minute drives? We'll see, but they're a lot deeper on the defensive line. They picked up some studs there on the defensive line, a lot bigger, longer in the secondary. So we'll see. On paper, they're up there. They're a top five team unquestionably, but the chemistry means a lot, and we'll see how they all mesh.
Dudley?
And one thing I'd say, I heard him talk about Zach Arnett. I think that's a fantastic hire. I mean, he was viewed as a fantastic assistant coach, a defensive guy. Before last year, it didn't work out. That was a weird situation, an unfortunate one, I guess would be the right thing to say. But I think it's a great hire, and I don't understand the concept of Mississippi State being upset that Ole Miss hired somebody that you sent away. That's how They don't. You don't get to. I mean, I don't know how this works, but you don't get to criticize your ex-wife's new husband. You might offer sympathy or something.
Sure you do,
don't
Dudley.
get to criticize that.
That's a God-given right. I'm kidding.
I'm excited to watch this Ole Miss team. I mean, I've known Lane and his dad forever. I mean, that's how old I am. Is that I was around here when Monty Kiffin was actually a young assistant coach. I've always had great respect for him, and so I look forward to watching him this year. And I know that some people don't like his antics, but if you win, you can do that, and I have no problem with it. And again, it's another one of these guys my wife says I was like in high school. So.
I just think it's exciting for the SEC to have somebody besides Georgia and Alabama that truly have a chance to win the national championship, that truly have a chance to replace them, at least for a season, right? It's so redundant right now in the SEC with Alabama. Then Georgia came in, with Kirby's third year, somewhere around there, third, fourth year at Georgia, and they've been consistent the last 3 or 4 years. But the SEC needs some fresh blood, and so even take me outside of covering Ole Miss for nearly 30 years now. Take me out of the equation as someone an SEC fan. If it was another school like Arkansas or South Carolina or just somebody different, just different that truly was a national championship contender, that would excite me.
Well, let me throw something at you, Dudley. And I got to tell you. And I hear this about Yancey, and I hear it about Ben, and the guests we have on the show. I hear so many people say stuff about the high character of y'all. Dudley, you and I both same age. I mean, we've been around, but we ain't old. But it's nice when people come up and say, the number of positive comments people in Arkansas say about Dudley Dawson, it's because you are a high character individual. So give yourself some credit for that.
Well, and when I'm not feeling high character, I don't leave the house.
That's right. But Ben,
I got a theater room.
I hear about all y'all.
Beautiful wife. I can have a lot of fun just by staying in this house too. And when I do go out, I make sure the paparazzi's not there.
That's right. But I mean, and I like what Yancey just said about some new blood. You mix things up.
I hate come speak. I love people saying whatever on their mind, whether they think about it or not.
Yeah. I mean, but it is exciting. I mean, because I'm telling you, the Ole Miss people, and I know a ton of them. I know a lot of fans of all these schools, but good Lord, it's going to be crazy, Ben, on a college campus. It doesn't matter as you get closer and closer to the first game. All the history, the traditions, and the heroes, they're just part of who we are. And that's what makes it easy for the players to practice so hard. It's just the thrill of running through the tunnel on a football Saturday. That's just my take.
I mean, optimism is a beautiful thing, but the thing about it, it's like NFL free agency, right? Everybody going crazy when they look who we got. You know what somebody say? Is Patrick Mahomes still in the NFL? Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I'm just making sure. Like, I mean, it's great to add to your team. You know, I mean, I got to be a Kirk Cousins. Listen, I had to be a Will Levis fan last year because he got drafted by the Titans. I got to be a Kirk Cousins fan now, and I actually got tickets to go see the Falcons this year. You know, I don't even drink alcohol. You know, I might have to start because I got to go see Kirk Cousins this year. It'll be rough on me, man. But college football is different because Lane Kiffin is great for college football because of how he is, not just how he coaches. Like, when Lane Kiffin is giving like politically correct answers, people are like, what's wrong with him? Because that's not him. Like that's not him, right? Lane Kiffin goes, look, man, I am the son of Monty Kiffin, the inventor of the Tampa 2 defense. I have been hearing, man, you remind me of your daddy. He is Kyle Shanahan 2.0. I am trying to get out of the shadow of my daddy because he was historically great for what he's done. But what he's doing right now, 10 wins in college football is almost impossible. He won 11.
Yeah.
And we act like, but he ain't go to Atlanta. Okay. Well, it's a team in Alabama that has something to say about it, right? I think Ole Miss, listen, Oxford, Mississippi is coming to Atlanta potentially. I want to see that. I want to see them just come to it because I do agree with Yan saying, yes, I can't stay in Georgia. It is not a rocket science. But I don't know if anybody gonna get Georgia off that mantle in 2024. But the SEC West, oh my God, it is Ole Miss. Ole Miss got a tight end that I love tight ends that don't look athletic and they athletic as hell. I love that tight end up there, Ole Miss, man. The way he was looking, I think he came from Memphis. Oh my God. I say, hey, I'm always a fan, but I mean, Yancey, I hope that Ole Miss does it because the world needs to see Lane Kiffin. Because Lane Kiffin he gonna look at potentially Kirby Smart and say, don't think you got an easy dub just because you ain't looking at Nick Saban. Don't think it's gonna be easy in this dome.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
He'll say that behind the scenes, on the scenes, he'll try to be politically correct, try to say something. That man, so hey, at the end of the day, the Rebels, I had a chance to play against them when they had this bum named Eli. I don't know where he came from. So I know how good Arkansas and Ole Miss are real similar in this regard. If they are balling, look out. If they are balling, it's gonna be hard to beat them because they say, hey man, we ain't the media darlings. We get it. We ain't media darlings. But if they go out there and every time you put Ole Miss on the national stage, or they find a way to get it done. So we some new blood in the SEC West. I don't know what side Texas or Oklahoma gonna be in. They ain't announced that yet. But I'm looking for Ole Miss got to come to Florida this year.
No divisions.
Ole Miss.
Hey, look. This is Kirby Smart when he ran into our daughter and Tyler up there, Lake Oconee, about July 12th of 2019, and Mallory,
Was that Lane in the middle? Was that Lane in the middle?
That's Kirby in the middle. And so we get this text from him, and it says, I'm like, well, that's Kirby Smart. She goes, well, we were up at Lake Oconee, right now today, and we're walking around the lake, and he starts walking toward me, and Mallory, of course, started in the fall of 2007 at Alabama. She's still a good person, and she sees him, and he looks at her, and he goes, are you a fan? She goes, I am of yours. He goes, huh? She goes, well, I was at Alabama all 4 years. You were there. And he goes, okay. I said, he was up there with some of the other coaches and their families having some time away before the season started. But I know people that know Kirby Smart, and they absolutely love him. I mean, okay. Let me throw this one. Shoney down in Valdosta, which is right next to Hayhira, Georgia, says a question for y'all, and I'll throw it to Yancey. Do we need to get Yancey Porter to compare Ole Miss football program building to Ohio State team building in this NIL era? That's a good question.
Well, I'm not as familiar with Ohio State's NIL funds.
They're going nuts is what they're doing.
that's really what has allowed Lane to accumulate the talent that he's got. Look, Lane's been ahead of the curve. We've talked about this in the past. They were very blessed to have a guy named Walker Jones that was the head of the marketing over there at Under Armour and
Yeah.
their funds for about 15 years. Walker played at Ole Miss back in the 90s in my era. And then he came back to head up the Grow Collective Fund, and they've been on the cutting edge from day one. And Lane has been up there with Walker and trying to get things done, and they are getting things done. And it's allowed Ole Miss to leapfrog a lot of programs because of this. Now, what Ohio State, they've got more alumni, more fans than probably anybody in the country. So I'm sure they don't even have to be on the cutting edge to raise a lot of money up there.
Yancey, let me throw this one at you, and then I want Dudley to jump in. When the tobacco settlement hit in Mississippi, Dickie Scruggs was the lead attorney, and about 15 of his friends that went to law school with him all had to invest into the suit. A couple of examples. I had a friend of mine, he passed away 10 years ago, was an attorney, had a law office right behind City Grocery and a couple of condos on the square. Wish we still had them. We used to love staying in them. But Dickie Scruggs' take from that settlement was $700 million. There was a couple next to my friend that their take was $360 million, and they had a law office there. For 15 years, they got $2 million a month. Do the math, $24 million a year, $360 million. There's a bunch of that tobacco money. I don't think people understand how powerful the Ole Miss Grove Collective is with over 11,000 members. But that's, I think, where this is coming from. And like Dudley calls, they talk about the razor's edge at Arkansas. So both of y'all, I want to get your thoughts. There's money. People don't realize Ole Miss, the Robert Kayat Law Center, the School of Accountancy at Ole Miss is number 3 in the country. Half the Fortune 500 CEOs are CPAs. Watch out going forward. The number of people coming out of Ole Miss that are going to be running a lot of these big corporations, making a ton of money. Ole Miss is a definite deep discount value buy in the stock market. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Well, I think what they've done, like you said, 11,000 members, they've reached out to the masses and not just relied on the tobacco lawyers and like Arkansas relying on the 3-4 billionaire families up there. That's really the lazy way to do business, right? Just keep calling the same few families, try to raise
Yep.
money. And Ole Miss they fell victim of that for a long time. But things have changed, and they're getting out to the masses, and that's really what's allowed them to kind of turn the corner.
Yeah,
Dudley, I love baseball, so I equate a lot of things like that.
Me too, Dudley.
Right now, to me, Ohio State is the Dodgers. Ole Miss is the Braves.
Yeah,
and the
perfect.
Arkansas is the St. Louis Cardinals. And that's how I sum everything up. They're throwing a lot of money, and they're being very successful at it. You would think their teams are going to be good. They've been good in the past. Arkansas, I've made it clear they were late to the party at the NIL thing. It's tough to bring out a new NIL conglomerate when you go 4-8. It helps you much better if you'd have jumped on it back then. But that's kind of how I see things right now in terms
Very
of
true.
success and all that.
Very
Well,
true.
I'll throw this at you.
When
Yeah.
you go 4-8 to start off at NIL, and then you need someone that has a dynamic background in it, like a Walker Jones,
Yes.
that understands the dynamics and that they, luck, whatever you want to call it. So, and then
There's a
someone
lot of
like
people
Lane
around here.
Kiffin.
There's a lot of people around here who want Houston Nutt to be the guy to, and now that he's going to be back up here to be the guy who runs around and starts asking for money. We'll see.
Well, I'll throw something at you too on the NIL thing with Ole Miss and all these schools. Fundraising is actually usually more successful when you are struggling as a program. I know the biggest year I think Tigers Unlimited at Auburn has had in recent memory was coming off of the 2012 season, 2 years removed from the national championship when Auburn went 3-9 and winless in the conference. They had maybe the best year ever at that time. That's the next year they played for the national championship, but that's because they had a coach. But I think that when you talk about Walker Jones, who played, what did he play at Jackson Prep, Dudley, I think, with my friend Brock Kreitz. And what they're famous for, and I don't know if y'all remember this, the 96 Georgia Ole Miss game in Athens, they had Georgia backed up at their goal line, and Mike Bobo, the quarterback, threw a dump pass over the middle to Hines Ward, and nobody was covering him. And Brock Kreitz from Naperville, Illinois, and Walker Jones ran him down at midfield and saved the game. Walker Jones that's 15 years in Under Armour, Ben, with Kevin Plank, who's a Maryland grad. You know, I mean, they've got great people. You talk about that Gator Collective, and there's money. But you know what? Alabama, Dudley, they're very late to the party. The Red Elephant Club, only a month ago, really decided, okay, now that Nick Saban's gone, we really got to step up, because he was pretty much, you got a discount for Nick Saban with NIL because of who he was. But now the Red Elephant Club is involved. And I can assure you, they are serious about keeping Alabama on top. On to victory, ever to conquer at Auburn. They are serious about keeping Auburn in the mix, because Auburn fell 40 years difference, the talent gap between them and Alabama when Brian Harsin was there. The widest it's been in 40 years. They're trying to close that. So it's, man, y'all three are unbelievable. I love getting the people on here with the different opinions. So we got a few minutes left.
I want to get into two things real quick.
Yeah, go.
Number one is I am really curious to see what happens in Alabama this year. It's the post-Saban era. You know, let's see how this goes. And the second thing, silly, but you know, I just heard you say Illinois, which is what I said. Who in the hell came up with silent letters? The thing in that word is silent. Who decided that? I mean, it's just stupid.
Yeah, I want to know. I agree with you. Arkansas. It's right next to Kansas. I mean, think about that. I had Coach Russell Reed at Christian Brothers High School. He just butchered pronunciations. Queen Lilio Kulani in Hawaii, he called her Queen Leo Kakalani. And he spelled the Sioux Indians S-O-O. He didn't, but I agree, S-I-O-U-X. Ben, kind of piggyback off of what Dudley we're going to butcher the English language here. Let's do it right.
Of course we're
silent letters.
You don't want to get me in the butchering the language. I'm a country boy from Georgia, man. So you already know. My last name got an E on it. So you talk about troop with an E on the end. It be messing people up. I had a lady tell me, you don't spell troop with a U in it. You don't spell troop with an E on it. I say, ma'am, I've had this last name my whole life. You're going to have to talk to my ancestors. They the one, gave it to me. But, even sticking with these collectives, Gator Collective with the Florida Victorious. And what people don't understand about NIL is this. It is the new wave, right? Listen, you either get with it or get lost. Because, and I like what Dudley said about, the Dodgers and the Braves and the Cardinals. The problem is, don't nobody want to be the Yankees. They don't want to do that. Because the Yankees, what you hate about them is if they want them, they will go buy them. That's why we call them evil empire for a reason. They will go get, a pitcher from Japan right now and give them $250 million and say, listen, we'll send you home 10 times a year. And guess what? The Yankees ain't won in a while. You can't tell Yankees fans that now. You cannot tell Yankees fans they ain't won a World Series in a while. They'll pull out Derek Jeter in a minute. But I think for these collectives, though, whether it's Auburn, whether it's Arkansas, whether it's Ole Miss, whether it's Florida, whomever, it's always a correlation. Best teams got the best collectives. That's how it's going to be. You don't got to like it. Best team. Listen, you know how much easier it is for Lane Kiffin to go and tell these alumni, listen, man, go deeper in your pockets, man. You see what it does? You see? And it's pennies on the dollar. When people say, hey, I had somebody tell me, have you ever met a billionaire? Like, yeah. They said, all you got to do, right, is get them to pick up the phone. Just give them a hello and just talk to them. Because they've been giving out money for ages and ages. As far as the collectors, the fans is giving, $10 a month, $50 a month. That stuff works. I mean, I would love to say it don't, but it does. And like I said, I mean, for everybody that think that college football is going to hell in the head, because of NIL, man, look,
It's not.
Jimbo Fisher made more money than Nick Saban.
Mhm.
That's all you need to know. Jimbo Fisher made more money than Nick Saban. Everybody in the world wants to be Jimbo. They want to go. Listen, they want to go to the All State. They want to play. They want to coach Texas A&M. They want to be mediocre and walk away with the biggest check and laugh. And ain't nobody have. And I ain't mad at Jimbo now. I'm not mad at Jimbo. But most people ain't got tobacco money. Most people ain't got that oil money. I mean, I'm in the University of Florida to where we got the most fans in the state of Florida. We got the most. You start telling them fans, hey man, well, you ain't winning enough games because you ain't giving no money. It is a correlation. Doesn't mean you're gonna win, but if you give them a couple of dollars and people and let me say this for those people that be saying, being how much money do you give for Florida Victorious for saying this? Zero. I don't work for Florida Victorious. I just do 84 Reasons, which I enjoy. But if people say you telling me a couple of extra $1 million is the difference in winning the national championships or not, ask Georgia. Yeah. Ask Alabama. Ask Michigan, which we won it last year. I don't know if they're gonna be. I know they're gonna make it. I know the players gonna make a bunch of money, but Harbaugh's gone. That might be going back to the dark ages too.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna throw something at you too. We got a few minutes left before we wrap it up. Great discussion on NIL. I will say this. I think that the Green Bay Packers model is a good one because really when you break it down, a home football game at Reynolds Razorback Stadium, and I think the naming rights are up for a bid, you said soon at Arkansas, but at Florida Field in the Swamp, Vaught Hemingway Stadium, those are shareholder meetings. And if you have a massive populist movement of donors, like the Green Bay Packers do, like I know people that are Packers fans like Michael and Connor Sag, they get their certificate because they own shares of the Packers. It doesn't matter whether you own $50 worth or $50,000. Once you invest and you have money into something, like whatever your company is, like I know people, I love to duck hunt, okay? You know, there are people out there that will spend $5,000 on an expensive shotgun and put cheap shells in it. Why not put the best? Why not put something like Migra Ammunition, great company based in Charleston, South Carolina. It's of all the ammos, everybody I know that's a serious duck hunter goes, hey, can you find Migra ammo or whatever? You got to put the best into what you do. But I think NIL, it's going to be fine. The market will correct, but I think you're going to have, you can't keep beating on the same wealthy people. You've got to spread it out and have a large army of people that are investing in your program. I mean, Dudley, you see it at Arkansas with this Razor's Edge. I actually think now with the football program struggling, it's going to be actually easier to go to people and say, hey, look, if y'all want to stay at 4-8, don't give. But you know what? It takes money to make money. And I think it's going to be, I think they're going to have more. Do you know the people with Razor's Edge? I would love to get the guy or the gal running that program.
Surprisingly, being a sports writer, they haven't called me and asked for money, even though I'm an alumnus here. So they know what I make here. I'm comfortable. You know, I got a nice house and all that, but I ain't got no money to give nobody. And that's whether you a college football program or you my uncle or, you know, a cousin. I'm just saying, I'm taking care of everything here, you know. And I got the grandson, and any money that's left over going to him.
Yeah, we were talking about. I've got another grandson that's going to be born in late April. My daughter's got Alexander coming. I call him Alexander the Great. I said, I know one thing I got to do. I got to renew my Memphis Zoo membership card because we'll be going to the zoo a lot, Yancey and Dudley and Ben. But look. Catch Dudley Dawson, hogville.net. What's your social media handles? Dudley, after you do that, go ahead and give it to us, Yancey, and you, Ben, and we'll wrap it up. But want to thank everybody watching this show because I want to say this. Most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Go out and help people. Find ways to make a difference. I know what Ben does. I know what Dudley does and Yancey does. Y'all are all high-character individuals. That's why we love having you on the show. But tag out Dudley, Yancey, and then Ben, and we'll wrap it up.
Dead Sports, DED Sports is where you can find all my little stuff.
I love it.
As you said, hoggo.net and fearlessfriday.com.
All right.
At
Yancey,
Yancey Porter, just go anywhere on Super Talk or WHBQ from Mondays to 6 to 7.
I love it. And you live in one of the great college towns in America. Get down there to the Beacon for an M16 breakfast. Do you know what an M16 is? A meat and 16 sides. All right. Ben, tell us how they can follow you.
Always at being Troop 84 on all social media handles, at 84 Reason, and at The Uncommon Crew. That's The Uncommon CRU. That's my nonprofit, to where, I be these young men be driving me crazy. I be driving them crazy, trying to help them become who they want to become outside of ourselves.
I love it. And look, I know Shoney wanted to know how to get in touch with you about having you speak to a group down in South Georgia. I will hook y'all up after the show. But everybody, all of our viewers, watchers, sponsors, everybody, thanks so much, SEC Sidelines Sports Network and SECU. Every day. The only easy day was yesterday. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Basketball tournament starts today. Get ready. Have fun. We are out of here. Everybody, see you. Take care.
In a perfect world, you'd set a health goal and results would happen overnight. In this world, the real world, it takes time, dedication, and the right support to achieve your best self. The Vitamin Shop's health enthusiasts are here to make sure you're not wasting a single moment on the wrong supplements. From the highest quality sports nutrition and superfoods to the most sought after trends, you'll find a huge variety of science-backed solutions for every goal. And the people to help guide you along the path to greatness.
Unbelievably, every 2 minutes in our communities, a child is either bought or sold for sex. I am Ari Dickey, board member for the Nashville Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition. Join me and millions of others in our fight against human trafficking and for its victims by helping to educate the most vulnerable among us, our middle and high school students. Go to nhtcoalition.org, become a partner, and help keep our families safe, because none of God's children are for sale.